Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Ashok ji, we'll start with my wish. If you can see the screen, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. My wish. The lover has to keep the wish of the beloved. My wish for my lovers is as follows. 1. Do not shirk your responsibilities. 2. Attend faithfully to your worldly duties, but always keep at the back of your mind that all this is Baba's. When you feel happy, think Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think Baba wants me to suffer. 4. Be resigned to every situation and think honestly and sincerely Baba has placed me in this situation. 5. With the understanding that Baba is in everyone, try to help and serve others. 6. I say with my divine authority, each and all, that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing his last comes to me. So do not forget to remember me in your last moments. Unless you start remembering me from now on, it will be difficult to remember me when your end approaches. You should start practicing from now on. Even if you take my name only once every day, you will not forget to remember me in your dying moments. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
I got a question for you. So, what is let's say the last point, number six, right? Thank you for reading, Ashok ji, but I'm just asking a question with regard to number six. So, what does come to me mean in number six? Ashok ji, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. I'm just thinking, you see, it's like this. Come to me means you get merged with God. That's all. A
No,
minimum
no,
of
no. You have to be more technical than that. You'll have to tell me whether it's God realization, whether it's
MOM. MOM. Okay.
yeah. So that's a good answer. And yesterday I got a confirmation of that listening to some YouTube video where Baba specifically answered one of the Mandali about this question.
Okay.
And Baba said it's OM. It's ordinary mukti.
Oh,
Right?
what?
So Baba
So,
says, yeah, Baba says it's ordinary mukti. So you get infinite bliss and nothing else, and you never have to come back again, which is great, which is a very good bargain according to me.
yes.
Thank you, Baba, for that deal.
Oh, thanks for this quiz. That means I'm at least on the right track.
Yeah, yeah, you're on the right track, but remember him as often as possible. That's the
Oh,
only
yes.
track. Everything else doesn't matter.
Yes. Now, Smaran. You must remember him day in, day out, even when you're sleeping.
Exactly.
Even in your subconscious mind or in your whatever, if you're sleeping, you should just remember him. That's what he says. uh, Namaswaran, because we have our mandali here in, I mean, this is the bhajan mandali, and they always say that try to remember him as much as possible. Namaswaran. And Kama has put in a very good you know practical what do you call yeah, a practical way of doing it, and that is when you say, when you breathe in, say ba, when you breathe out, say ba. So baba. So I mean that's a very, is aligning practice with theory. So basically, with every breath you remember him.
Absolutely. So, again, technical point. It's not about, it's more about Smaran than Namasmaran. You have to remember him. It's not about chanting his name mechanically. It's not about thinking of his name. It's about thinking about him. You have to recognize and be thinking of God. thinking of Baba, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the name doesn't matter. You can say Meher Baba, you can say Baba, you can say whatever comes to you, right? Whichever avatar you're close to. But obviously, for all of us, it's best if we do Baba. Anyway, um, each one to himself, and let's all hope we all work towards using the golden pass that he has given us by getting number six of my wish. Okay,
Yeah,
so we finished. Yeah, yeah, Mamadi.
Karthik, that's true, but it's uh, they say that when you go in your last moments, you must just chant his name, as you rightly said, thinking about him, and I mean, with selflessly just remembering him, and that I mean, and you should have that presence of mind at that moment to do it.
Yes, and by all indications, it's a tall order in the sense that our anxiety, depending on the way we end up going, whenever we go, the anxieties, the things that we would be, you know, occupied with, if I can use that word, should not let us drift away from Baba. And if we don't exercise the golden pass, you're back in the rat race. You're back again, right? So, and that's why he says, if you make me part of your life, then it becomes a lot more easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, make me part of every breath, like what Ashok said, even better. Yeah, excellent. So we've over 20 sessions. We did um, volume one. Now we go to volume two, which is the period between Jan 1948 to 1952. So I think it's 1949 actually. Yeah. So it's 1949. That's when it starts. So we start with chapter one today of volume two, and it's Meher Baba at Mount Abu, 1949, part one. Anybody wants to start, or should I read for some time?
You
Okay,
can continue for some time.
sure. I will read. Yeah. Meher Baba at Mount Abu, 1949, part one. The most profound phase. The advent of God as the God man is the perfect blending of the human and the divine in one. So the life of the God man appears simple and appealing and yet mystical and puzzling as well. It cannot help being so. This quality manifested itself abundantly in the life of Avatar Meher Baba. Those who met him, and especially those who lived with him, were amazed to watch Meher Baba's creative responses. So loving, so surprising. Countess Nadine Tolstoy, one of Meher Baba's disciples, has very aptly dealt with this aspect revealed through the life of the God man. He writes, everything in him is a wonder, yet he is the most simple and selfless man that ever existed. His state of constant, unceasing oneness never changes under conditions of any kind. It is really beyond all human understanding. So marvelously human, he is obviously beyond the human plane. Yet, he is the friend, the soul, and the heart of everyone. He is perpetual, universal life activity, reaching to all planes and forms, constantly helping, ordering, raying its power and love in all directions simultaneously. Never at rest, yet always divinely at rest. He is the motion in stillness and peace. In applying to him our human terms, We can give him all names and definitions, but it will be only a part of the truth, and only so far as our perfections can go. He remains ever beyond the definitions of the human mind. Being a superconscious divine man, God man, he is limitless, infinite, free, and impersonal, the universal one. Okay, the quote is from the universal one, and the universal one is a section from the essay Meher Baba and My Spiritual Path uh, in the Meher Baba Journal, published in September 1941, pages 621 and 623.
And Karthik, just for the record, it's Countess, so it's she.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Did I say he? It's
yeah,
Countess. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's okay.
I'm
But
sorry.
I don't feel sorry. It's just a very minor thing. But yeah,
Yeah, she's actually related to Tolstoy, right? And she's Russian origin but lived in America.
she's ready to
Countess.
Tolstoy. Wow, that is
Yes, yes. Yeah, she is. I think um, granddaughter, something like that.
She's
Yeah.
the she's the daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law. Okay. Thank you.
okay.
Married
Here,
to the son.
Dr. Kama.
Dr. Kama. Yes. Okay. Let's continue. In the life of Avatar Meher Baba, the year 1949 will be especially remembered for ushering in the most human yet divine phase of his work. Its inauguration was veiled with unpredictability, and the mystery which surrounded it for its duration was not in the least dispelled at its termination. This phase, which commenced on October 16, is known as the New Life. Meher Baba lived this new life to its fullest extent, but rarely explained much about it. When asked by one of his companions if such a new life had been undertaken by anyone in his past, or he was the first one to introduce it, he replied, I do not know, and therefore I cannot say more than this. Namely, this is whatever it is. This answer clearly shows that he did not wish to disclose the significance of this phase through words. We know something of its external aspects and have a few explanations given by Baba during this period, but little do they help us understand the link between his old and new life. Once Meher Baba stated, although the new life has emerged from me, I am not at all bound by it. This new life is endless, and even after my physical death, will be kept alive by those who live the life of complete renunciation of falsehood, lies, hatred, anger, greed, and lust, who do not let go the hand of truth, and who, without being upset by calamities, bravely and wholeheartedly face all hardships with 100% cheerfulness and give no importance to caste, creed, and religious ceremonies. This new life will live by itself eternally, even if there is no one to live it. There's a missing reference, but this is a famous message that Baba gave about the new life. From this, it can be concluded that Meher Baba expected those who earnestly wished to know more about this phase to get into it boldly, and that he would be their eternal companion. More about this profound phase as we come to that account in the latter part of the year, most significant year. A special circular. To begin with, on New Year's Day, a special circular was sent to all disciples and devotees of Meher Baba. The gist of some of the points mentioned therein is given below. There is a footnote. So, circular NL5 issued on 10/3/1950. I mean, I think it's published on 10/3/1950 because clearly it's sent out on New Year's Day in 1949. Number one, Meher Baba hinted at an impending personal disaster. Number two, Meher Baba's close disciples were to be in readiness to face real tests and trials. Number three, all those who believed in Meher Baba were asked to observe complete silence for the month of July 1949. Number four, from February 1 till the end of the year, the followers were not permitted to write letters to anyone anywhere. However, for emergencies, telegrams were allowed. Number five, the year 1949 will mark the artificial end to an artificial beginning and the real beginning to the real end. I'll read that again slowly. The year 1949 will mark the artificial end to an artificial beginning and the real beginning to the real end. Number six, although Baba is in everyone and everything and in everything, his work of spiritual awakening remains aloof from politics of any kind. Everyone who received the circular was expected to acknowledge it. As regards communications, particularly those containing some instructions from Baba, he generally insisted on having signed acknowledgements. Perhaps he wished to ascertain that the offer of participating in a spiritual work had reached all his dear ones in time. In earlier days, owing to this habit, a few even criticized Meher Baba by calling him a circular wala Baba. In January, Baba did not
Can,
disclose to the. What's
can
that?
we read that dictates once again? And the fifth one is bit perplexing.
Yeah. In fact, I didn't get it. The year 1949 will mark the artificial end to an artificial beginning. So he is talking about probably the illusion and the real beginning to the real end. So here, I think he's referring to the end of the illusion. So it's the, I think, or manifestation, or there's so much of speculation, speculative possibilities here. I don't know. Anybody else?
No,
Why
no,
that? Why that artificial end to an artificial beginning? Artificial beginning, it's okay. Can it not be a real end to that
Mm,
artificial beginning? That's how the mind goes. Okay.
fair point. It is intriguing, but the answers are not clear. Ashok, you're saying something.
yeah, Jay Baba. I think that point number six, although it's a practical thing that we must remain away from politics of any kind, uh, my observation is that still there is politics, when we go to Mehrabad. So I think this is a very valid point that we should only remember how to do spiritual work and how to remain with him, and we have to remain aloof from politics. Jai Baba.
Yes, Jai Baba. Okay.
Okay. We'll think it over. Continue.
Yeah. Let's continue. In January, Baba did not disclose to the people in Mehrazad near Pimplegaon, Malvi, or at Mehrabad near Arangaon the new life phase of complete renunciation, though indirectly he frequently hinted at it. There are two footnotes about the places. 15 kilometers to the north of Ahmednagar, MS, a place where Meher Baba resided during his last years. What is MS? Ahmednagar, Maharashtra state. Okay. 9 kilometers to the south of Ahmednagar, that is Mehrabad. On a low hill is the tomb of the eternal beloved Meher Baba. Number 5 is later. Okay. He often conveyed to the resident Mandali, I do not feel like caring for anything that is retained or given away. In spite of this, from now on, an immediate cut of 50% in all expenses should be effected. Mandali is the fifth footnote. Meher Baba generally referred to the group of his close disciples as Mandali. Did he wish to acclimate them to a harder life? He also instructed those who lived near him to abstain from lust and greed of any kind. He advised the men to avoid even a formal handshake with women. Once, Baba asked each of them whether he preferred to be buried, cremated, or carried to the Tower of Silence in case he died. First and foremost, he expected them to remember him wholeheartedly while discharging their daily duties. In short, there was a remarkable change in Baba's attitude towards the closer ones as he was secretly preparing the ground to break the news to them at an opportune time about the new life, the life of helplessness and hopelessness. Next section, the God man contacts the God intoxicated. In the first week of January 1949, Baba resumed his work with the spiritual wayfarers who were deeply and madly in love with God the Beloved. To begin with, the appropriate Sufi term that Baba used for such a person is must, meaning the God intoxicated one. Again, there is footnote, an Urdu word to be pronounced as must. Just a few years after establishing himself in the God man state, in August 1924, Meher Baba inaugurated this unique phase of his work of contacting the mass. It was at Patri, a place a few kilometers to the south of Haridwar. Here, Baba visited a recluse who was residing in a small hut by the roadside, which he rarely left. Baba later conveyed that this hermit was a high must and added, any must contacted before this one was incidental, and any one thereafter was purposely contacted. This particular and peculiar type of work gathered momentum as years passed by. In the 1940s, it was in full swing. By 1965, a few years prior to the dropping of his body, this phase of Baba's work was practically over. The last outstanding must contacted was Neelkantwala from Rishikesh, who was especially brought to Mehrazad. There are hardly any references in the annals of religious and spiritual literature concerning the contacting, feeding, and blessing and bathing of God intoxicated souls. Only in the Ramayana is it mentioned that Rama, the avatar, visited the ashrams in the forest and, under some pretext, also visited many out of the way places to contact and guide the mass. But there is no account of it ever being done on the scale on which Baba did it. The mass, whose hearts get drenched with God's wine, live far above the bread line. They not only perceive the divine but live in it. In this immense creative intoxication, they care little about outward cleanliness, must seem to overrule the laws of hygiene. Some of them dwell in incredibly filthy surroundings. But love has that grace which no dirt can defile. The life of a must is an honest expression of what he feels within. His involvement in the internal life is so profound that his external actions of body and speech appear enigmatic and puzzling. Being devoid of social influence and selfish motives, he behaves to please the divine beloved. But this makes him a laughing stock, and he is regarded as a mad person. Meher Baba has explained the subtle points of difference between ordinary madness and divine intoxication. There is a footnote, William Donkin, The Wayfarers. Refer the book for more. He has also thrown some light on how the God man draws these souls out of their self sufficiency and uses them as the media for relaying spiritual power and help to humanity at large. In the avataric age, the number of such souls, it seems, increases considerably. Meher Baba journeyed to distant cities in undivided India from Peshawar in the north of Pakistan to Trivandrum in the south of India, and also to far off mountainous regions to meet these souls. He wanted to awaken in them the need to cooperate in his game of awakening humanity by sharing the spiritual responsibilities of the higher planes of consciousness on which they were stationed. Number 8. See Bal Natu, Glimpses of the God Man, Meher Baba, Volume 1. Yeah, so I think that the whole book was, the first volume was largely that. In January 1949, Ali Shah, known as Bapji, was brought to Mehrazad for Baba's contact. He was a master of the fifth plane. He was exceptionally responsive to shouldering his spiritual responsibilities, and Baba regarded him as one of his five favorites. After his five, After his first contact in 1943, Baba called him more than 20 times to stay with him for both short and long visits. Babji's smile was warm and inviting. His voice was quite pleasant, but his speech was disconnected and repetitious. For the rest of January 1949, Baba regularly fed him with his own hands and sat alone with Babji in a room for solemn, speechless conferences. Sometimes, as Baba stepped out, he looked very weary, and the Mandali gathered that the day's session had been rather tiring. By the end of this month, one more must named Mama, who roamed about in Ahmednagar, was brought to Baba for a few hours' contact. Mama was quite a bit taller and heavier than Ali Shah. His body was well shaped, but his shaved head, half closed eyes, and calm countenance distinguished him from others. 2 decades later, I chanced to see him in Ahmednagar. People told me that there was practically no change in his outward appearance, including his favorite dress of habitual red and white checkered garments. He would sit and rest anywhere he liked, whether on the dusty road or on the dung hill. Shams-e Tabriz befittingly wrote, "The man of God is a treasure in a ruin." Okay, I would like to rotate the reading. Um, Ashok ji, are you in a position to read for some time now? Or Ashish, anyone?
Yeah, I can read.
Yeah, please. You can start
So,
from here.
yeah.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. A move to Mount Abu. By the first week of March, Baba decided to shift to Mount Abu. This was to be his headquarters for 3 months. It is a small hill station in the Aravalli Hills in southern Rajasthan. Owing to the spiritual atmosphere vibrant with the associations of many saints and some masters, Hindus and Jains regard this region as exceptionally holy. This particular area abounds in the bounty of nature. In the evening, the hilltops aglow with the setting sun look marvelous. In the memories of those two of those who visited Abu, such scenes continue to linger with unfading enchantment. Abu Road is the nearest railway station. A special bungalow for Baba and woman Mandali was taken on lease. The main Mandali accommodated themselves in the rooms near Histinullah. In March, Baba set out on 2 long trips, one to Ajmer and other to Ahmedabad, and 2 short visits to nearby places, Oria and Dilavara. On March 8th, Baba was at Ajmer to contact dear old Chacha, whom he first met in February 1939. It was during this meeting that Baba coaxed him into having a bath, which was long overdue. Believe it or not, those who know him during this period said that it was his first bath in 30 years. Nur Ali Shah Pathan, known as Chacha, hailed from Peshawar. He came to Ajmer to teach Arabic, but his love for the Arabian prophet invited divine grace, and thoroughly drenched in love, he became perfect mazhub. In that divinely absorbed state, Baba told the Mandali that he consciously experienced unity with God and was completely oblivious of the world. Chacha physically actions could be likened to the rotation of a switch of ceiling fan. His body lay in a squalid hovel while he was enjoying the infinite bliss of the I am God state. Baba wished
So
to sit with
it's a
Chacha.
switched off ceiling fan. To I mean, just to refer to that phrase again. So it runs automatically, right? So for some time it keeps running, but there's no use of power. Right? That's what Baba's saying.
Baba wished to sit with Chacha where they would not be disturbed. So Chacha was taken to Taragar, an old fortress that overlooked the holy city. He was carried. There is a sedan chair, and Baba sat alone with him continuously for 8 hours, which was quite unusual. During this period, Baba plied Chacha at intervals with tea and cigarettes. At the close of his meeting, Baba presented him with a turban, a blanket, and also silken coat that he was wearing. Chacha was then sent back with great care to his original place. What spiritual transactions were carried out in and through such meetings we do not know. Baba was most reluctant to explain the details and the significance of these visits. Of the fortress at Taraghar, about 40 Muslim widows belonging to the Shia sect were brought together, and Baba very sympathetically gave some money to each. About such gifts, William Dawkins writes, it is a kind of catalyst by which Baba is able to bring out a certain spiritual reaction. After visiting Kishangarh, Baba reached Sojat, where the famous mosque Nuru Baba stayed. This mosque originally came from Punjab. One fine morning, he came to Sojat, which is in Rajasthan, and started living on the veranda of someone's house. Nuru Baba was born must and wore no clothes. Who would welcome such a strange nude visitor? The must was driven away, but the adamantly sat on a nearby slab of stone for days in sun and rain. Owing to some striking experiences, the owner of the house finally felt compelled to request Nuru Baba to sit wherever he wished. It was on this veranda that Baba first met him in 1941. At that time, the mosque was surrounded by a band of dogs. These details are recorded to indicate how unbelievable them unbelievable are the life stories of the mosque. A few Westerners may treat them as Oriental nonsense, but they are true. Like the birds, the mosques do not leave the footprints of their spiritual journey. It is for the physicians and psychologists to debate over the psychological and uh, physiological and psychological issues involved in such incredible states. The inconceivable miracles which the must have performed can provide them with another field for extensive investigation. The God-man clearly knows the real worth of the spiritual states attained by the must and their potentialities which can be used for his inner spiritual work. On the whole, Baba was happy to meet Niru Baba in Sojan on that memorable veranda, on that memorable veranda. With reference to such must, pointing at his fingers, where people generally wear rings, Baba used to gesture, "These are my gems. What an incredible jeweler." On the way back to Mount Abu, the party stopped at Abu Road, where, after a lapse of 8 years, Baba again contacted Khuda Baksh, the must, with steadfast devotion and with a vow of silence, had stayed in a shrine for many years. This time, he offered Baba a lungi, and Baba honored his gift of love by wearing it once. On March 11, he reached the headquarters. The second tour of the month began with a visit to Ahmedabad. Baba was pleased to contact an old god intoxicated person and offered him 6 cigars. After meeting Rahman and Bapu of Khambat, he returned to Mount Abu. For the rest of the month, Baba met sadhus and yogis residing in nearby places. The two contacts worth noting were of Matragiri Maharaj at Oriya and Haridas Nirvan at Abu Road. Matragiri greeted Baba warmly. He had penetrating, deep-set eyes. In all seasons, he wore only a loin cloth and ate whatever was offered to him. Hence, he was also known as a Ghori, the undiscriminating one. He was tall and slim, but his age was subject of guesswork. Some yogis have about them this quality of agelessness. Haridas Nirvan belonged to this category. He sat under a patch umbrella, its handle tied to a big stone. When he saw Baba, he was overjoyed to see the avatar. Out of sheer joy, tears began to roll down his cheeks. Baba consolingly stroked him and helped him to compose himself. Baba was also happy to meet a good yogi who had been undergoing severe penance for 40 years at Bilwara. He was known at, as the Bengali Baba. With such loving and lively meetings with the advanced soul around Mount Abu, the month of March was over. Baba fits a love hungry must. In the second week of April 1949, Baba wished to visit Akola, one of the biggest cities in Maharashtra. Here he contacted few God intoxicated souls who were moving in the city like dutyless doves and harnessed them to work as they played with the divine presence. Among these was Chammamai, a fat Mastani. The carefree attitude of the wayfarers generally kept them healthy and sometimes made them chubby too. On the way to Nagpur, the party reached Badnera, where Baba learned about a very good must, Badri Baba, who had moved to a small village named Chandratara. News of a high must would invariably make Baba impatient to meet him. It was evening, but he was not willing to wait till the next morning. Baba's men made inquiries about transportation to the village. The road was very rough, and a journey of 15 kilometers was only possible by bullock cart. Baba readily agreed to this bone shattering conveyance, so they all huddled into bullock cart and started off. As it left the town, the road deteriorated, and the wooden wheels alternately lurched over the rocks in the path or slid into the well-worn ruts, causing the cart to jolt violently. About 2 hours later, during the one such uh, jolting, a bundle of currency notes worth 700 rupees slipped out of Eraj's well-buttoned coat. One of his shoes followed suit. When he became aware of this, he told Baba about it, who gestured, "Don't think in the least about the money now. At present, contacting the must matters most." Actually, I am from the same area, that Badnera, Akola. Actually, I should dig who were they and what happened later on about these musts.
Okay, Badnera and Akola. So, do you
Yeah,
remember going through this? Did you join us for the Wayfarers reading?
yeah. I was, yes. I was into
Ah,
that
okay,
hall
okay.
also. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe I need to dig more about these souls,
On these
what
musts.
happened with them. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, with these musts. So the Mandali continued the journey without wasting time searching for the valet. The party reached Chandratara after midnight. This must, Badri Baba had a few peculiar habits. If he so wished, he would sleep or sit at any place, not only for hours, but even for a couple of days. Owing to the reverence that people had for him, no one would disturb him. After Baba's arrival, the must repeatedly cried aloud, "I am hungry, I am hungry." Was he asking for prasad at the hands of the godman? Baba was very particular in fulfilling the wishes of the must. So Baba's men, even Baba's men, even in the dead of night, secured a bowl of goat's milk, raw sugar, and millet bread. Baba offered this to the must, and both felt very pleased. Baba picked his particular time to be with Badri Baba for secluded contact. The meeting was not over until 2:30 in the morning, and then the party started back. To light their way, Chagan walked ahead, holding a torch in either hand. Luckily, after a few miles, he spotted Eraj's shoe and then the bundle of notes intact. The Mandali were very relieved to get the wallet back, not for the money it contained, but because it represented a sacred trust. Baba was very particular about the use of every paisa or cent offered to him by his dear ones. In spite of the night's vigil, Baba looked very cheerful. This was mostly due to his contact with Badri Baba. By dawn, the party reached Badnera to prepare themselves for the next move. The God-man invites suffering. On April 15th, Baba reached Nagpur. One of his disciples, named Jal Kerawala, was working there as commissioner. He wished to offer his car to Baba for the must tour. To ensure that it will be good working order, he had specially sent it to a workshop for a checkup and necessary repairs, if any. In all journeys with Baba, the Mandali carried many pieces of luggage. They knew Baba's need and always tried their best to provide him with the things he might require in response to his inner spiritual work. So, the luggage rack on the top of the car was overloaded with packages of all sizes. The car had to carry a complement of six: Baba, Kaka, Baidul, Erach, Chagan, and Vishnu. The same day, Baba left for Sevni, a place 130 kilometers to the north of Nagpur. After a drive for 40 kilometers, the party reached Ramtek. It was 9 at night. By the side of the road, there was a low hill about 230 meters high. At every stop, Baba's disciples would ask people about the mosque and saints residing in that area. Here, they learned that in one of the huts on the hill, there lived a saintly personality. At Baba's instructions, two from the group left to confirm the news. The saint, who was perhaps engaged in his daily prayers and devotion, refused to open the door to meet Baba's men. The one whom he was worshipping had come to bless him, but unfortunately, the saint missed this precious meeting. So it was ordained. It was ordained. What an irony! Didn't Baba know this in advance? The God man knew that his man would go up the hill and return unsuccessfully, but as a man, in his mission of doing good, Baba could not pass by without inquiring of the saint. As as the calf sped on, things began to go wrong with it in quick succession. The car got two flats and was crippled. Patching them with small repair kit they had with them, they moved on. When they got 10 kilometers from Sevni, they got another flat, and in addition, the engine developed minor troubles. All patching, pumping, and repairing failed. The car could go no further than few yards at a time. It was 4 a.m., and the Baba party was thus held up on a lonely road. Chagan volunteered to walk the distance and get the necessary new parts from the town. In his haste, however, he forgot to take money with him. Hence, Vishnu had to follow him into town with the money. That same night, there had been a robbery in Sevni. The police were milling around when they spotted Lanky, Patik, Chagan. They suspected that he was the one of the bandits. This incident gives an idea of arduous and awkward situations which the Mandali had to endure in the must tour. Chagan managed finally to convince the police officer that he was not a burglar, but a prospective customer on the way to buy necessary parts for stranded car. Luckily, he met Vishnu and the purchases were able to be made. By late morning, Baba reached Sevni. The night drives illustrates how the God man, in relation to his inner work, sometimes deliberately allows himself to suffer, and those who accompany him have a participate cheerfully in the Avtaric game. In the 1930, Baba used to dictate letters to his close disciples and then add his signature, M.S. Irani. One of these letters, pertaining to his relationship with the Mandali, Baba wrote to William Donkin, I am very strict with all the Mandali and extract the last ounce from each. You will not find it always easy. It will be difficult at times, but interesting. Still, if you love me, then you will be prepared to fess up to anything and obey implicitly. So, above all love and more, only those who love can live near me.
So, so above all, love me more and more.
Above all, love me more and more. Only those who love can live near me. The type of tours mentioned above illustrate very well such statements of Baba. By the way, it may be stated that in the subsequent journey, there was no further difficulty with the car. After contacting Musk at Sevni, Baba left for Jabalpur. I, I take nothing, I give nothing.
We'll take a
In
pause. We'll take a pause here. So, is Sevni also in the neighborhood of Amravati and Badnera and all those locations?
uh, it's near to Nagpur actually, near to Nagpur and
Okay.
Ramtek, Nagpur area. Yeah.
Ramtek. Yeah, yeah, that's what was mentioned actually.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, cool. Any thoughts or comments from anybody?
I never heard this much name actually. I think there are many Meher Baba lovers in the Vidarbha area, Amravati, Nagpur. There are quite a lot of people. So
Hmm.
maybe I need to ask someone if they know this must name. or if they got to know about them, what happened, or any more details about them.
In fact, even with the non-Baba lovers, because mostly these mosques
Yeah,
had followings. Yeah, they
yeah,
had
yes, yes,
following locally, and probably they have a shrine or they have something linked to them. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Jay Baba, can we just deliberate on this? I take nothing, I give nothing. What is the significance of this?
This I was also thinking like that.
I don't know what he means by I give nothing. So he has said multiple times that he gives nothing in the traditional sense of the uh, word. In the illusory world, he is there to only take things away from us, and he does not give in the material sense of things, right? So maybe that's what he means by I give nothing. I take nothing. I don't know. So let's read it,
Ashok, the
and then
answer, yeah, Ashok, I think the answer lies in this message. You and me are not we, but one.
Yes.
Can you roll it up a
yes.
little bit
That
up?
that gives the
Can you
answer.
roll it up so I can relate this to? Yeah, thank you.
So I
Jai
think
Baba,
it's the next section. Yeah.
yeah, the I think it's again we are talking about contextual aspect. I take nothing, I give nothing. So when Baba is saying I, he being Avatar, God in human form, who's representing God, he himself as a drop soul was like us, right? He's the first drop soul to become God realized, so he became Avatar. So I take nothing, which is this whole creation, evolution, reincarnation, all this is part of the divine dream. Within the dream, there are laws, as we know from the spiritual panorama in the beams, the laws of cause and effect, which is the Newton's laws and the quantum laws. And then higher than that are the supernatural laws. Then higher than that are the law of karma or law of sanskaras. And then the highest is the law of divine grace, from which all these other laws come in. So, in the big picture, he's just there to set an example for us to use the messages, and depending on the time period that we are in, that how do we shed our ego, because as a human being, you have full and complete consciousness, Maha Chaitanya. So, we are just shedding our sanskaras in a very technical sense. So, there is nothing to, for him to take nothing, I give nothing. Because one is that he has no mind, he is the Almighty. So he's just a beacon of light for us so that we can use his presence and grace to shed our sanskaric ego mind, Jai Baba.
I have a comment to make, Karthi.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Jay Baba. Yeah, pretty much it was, I think in this context, when Baba says, I take nothing, he actually tell us or encourage us to love him and remember him as he ought to be loved, just Mera says. So we do not love him, we should not remember him or approach him for a thing, because everything is nothing. You see, only God is real. That's why he says, if you want me to give something, I give nothing. And I do not take anything. In other words, I do not need your prasad. I don't need your garland. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need your coconut. I don't need all that. I don't. I don't take nothing, and I don't give anything. Yeah, just because he says, just approach me and remember me for my own sake, and know that I am the God in human form. So everything else, object-wise, is nothing. That it was said actually pretty much.
I think I agree. But let's read the section and then we can again discuss to see if we see any other explanations or any other comments after the section. Uh, at this point, we can also rotate the reading. So um, anyone who is comfortable can take over from this point.
I can read.
I can do it. Okay,
Let Ashok read, then I
no,
read after Ashok.
Okay. Ashok, you for 15 minutes and then the
yeah, then
last 15 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
or it can be other way around.
No, go ahead, Ashok. Go ahead, Ashok. Thank you, Ashish. Jai Baba.
Avatar Meher
Jai
Baba
Baba.
Yeah.
I take nothing, I give nothing. In 1939, Baba had opened a mast ashram in Jabalpur, MP. Baidul knew the lanes and streets where the musts dwelt or roamed about. One by one, the old timers were contacted. One of them wandered in the city holding a long piece of bamboo in his hand. Another carried a bundle of rags, while a Mastani named Raji had a basket over her head with all sorts of junk in it. Various were the outward fancies of those who were intoxicated with the beatific visions on the paths. From skin to core, they longed and lived only to see God. On the way to Katni, a fairly big town, the Baba party reached Jumunia, where an adult pilgrim named Dada Thantanpal stayed. A cross reference at 9, a spiritual wayfarer on the fifth or sixth plane of consciousness. His striking personality shone through his features. He was much revered by the people. They believed that his blessings brought them good luck in business and many other mundane affairs. Dada, however, often blurted out, I don't take anything from anyone. I don't give anything to anyone. I don't care a fig for anyone and anything. But this very attitude of total indifference drew large crowds to him. Baba was happy to contact him, and it seemed that his company gave Baba a genuine delight. Later, he conveyed to the Mandli, Dada is very loving and lovable as a lamb. And then he added, but he also radiates high spiritual power. If one were to sit near him longer, one would feel that he were in the company of a spiritual tiger. Dada Thandanpal represented a rare blending of the Jamali and Jalali qualities. The party proceeded to Mandla, where Baba renewed his meeting with Dhani Ram. Baba's presence flooded the heart of the must with divine love. Beholding the God man, the must with eyes aflame stared at Baba and spoke lovingly. I know who you are. Such spontaneous utterances from the spiritually advanced souls often disclose Baba's divine status as the avatar of the age.
So that's the end of that section. So any comments on the title? I think between Mahu and Kama, I agree that it's just what Baba's saying. Baba's broader message is that he's not here to give or take anything, and he's here to work on you in ways that are more complex and often harder than one would imagine on any other path.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever others have said is correct, but I think it's also, we can also see, look at it in a different way, as in the world of duality and the world of reality are two separate you know, spheres. So you don't uh, give or take anything in the world of reality. You just immerse in it. That's all. There's no, and as you rightly said, there's no material connotation to the giving and receiving.
Yes.
But the connotation can be that he takes nothing out of everything. So nothing is a part of everything, as we have discussed in discourses and all that.
Okay, the big
So
nothing.
yes, he takes out that, and then he
Okay.
doesn't give that to you.
Okay, that's a interesting twist to the
Yes,
explanation and relevant as well. He takes
yes,
away the big nothing and opens your eyes, and he
and he
by that
doesn't give
very
that to you all.
correct,
I
exactly.
don't give nothing.
No illusion. Yes, good.
Uh, Avatar
Yeah,
Meher Baba,
we can continue. Yes.
the astounding fact. Katni is about 160 kilometers from Mandla. The Baba party arrived in this city to contact the God man and the God intoxicated ones. It was learned that years ago a must had arrived here from Mandla on horseback. As soon as he got down, the horse galloped back to its owner. The name of the must was Mehtab Shah. He lived with a tailor who accommodated him in his small shop. Another must contracted wore on his arms and legs over 20 iron and brass rings. It seemed that iron is a favorite metal with the musk. The remarkable contact at this place was with Shobha, a Mazub like musk of a high order. He was spotted at the back of a Dharamshala, a free and charitable rest house. His seat was by the public latrines, which were most unclean. Shobha was probably one of the filthiest musks contacted by Baba. Over a heap of refuse of every sort, he continued to sit for hours and days. He was reluctant to leave his seat even to answer the calls of nature. Yet he looked perfectly healthy. The hygienic laws of the gross world are nullified by the supervening laws of the spiritual planes. Even the squalid and soil surroundings in which the musks were found, Baba a few months later explained at Pune. To live in dirty surroundings, such as in or near a latrine or urinal, is one way of utterly forgetting one's bodily existence. And the beauty of it is that when the body is utterly neglected or forgotten, because the consciousness is aware only of love for the divine beloved, it does not deteriorate but takes care of itself automatically. The minds of ordinary people are constantly busy looking after their bodies, but they find that in spite of taking every kind of precaution and care, deterioration can never be avoided altogether. Kabir said, "Tan taje, tan rahe, tan rakhe, tan jue." यही अचंबा हमने देखा, मादा कल को खाए. Discard the body, it remains. Preserve the body, it goes. And so the astounding fact emerges that the uncared for cause eats up death. Cross reference 10. William Dawkins, the work of Meher Baba with advanced souls, sadhus, and the mad and the poor, page 23, San Francisco, Sufism Reunited, Incorporated, 1969. From Katni, Baba proceeded southeast to reach Rewa. Here, a very advanced soul named Hafizi was contacted. Baba mentioned to the Mandli that he too was an adept pilgrim like Dada Thananpal. With a dhoti, a piece of white cloth, Hafizi used to cover his whole body from shoulder to ankle. Though he was a centenarian, he looked quite radiant. He was respected by Hindus and Muslims alike. He generally like he lived he generally lived in a village named Mognas. The car spread on to Allahabad. In this holy city, another Salik-like person was contacted. He was an old Hindu Sufi, well versed in Persian. Because of his knowledge of Sufism, some began to address him as Inayat Sain, while he referred to himself as a Paramhamsa. Baba mentioned that he was a good Mas, but what is there in a name or term with a Hindu, Muslim, Jew, or Christian? It is the name of God and one's love for Him that leads the way. Following Baba's instruction, Jal Kerawala sent his chauffeur to Allahabad and the car was taken back to Nagpur. Baba nevertheless wished to continue his must tour, his work. He proceeded by train to Gonda in Uttar Pradesh via Faizabad. In 1942, he had visited these two places and most of the musts had the guiding touch of the God man. At that time in Gonda, a Mastani named Nur Jahan was was contacted in a brothel. Baidul had entreated her to get into a rickshaw with a mass of rags piled beside her seat. This time too, she was taken to the same place where Baba contacted her. No place is sacrilegious for the avatar to meet the real lovers of God. Effect of refusing the God man's gift. Baba reached. Sorry,
Nothing.
somebody.
Please go ahead.
Anything you want to say?
No, no, no. Please keep trying.
Okay. Effect of refusing the God man's gift. Papa reached Behrai. A must of this place was fascinated by the workings of the railway station. The changing of railway signals, the distant whistles, and the clack clack of the railway joints had a musical appeal for him. He roamed about mostly on the railway premises. His original fancy was for iron rings. Hence, he was called Lohe Wala Baba. Loha means iron. He did not immediately agree to accompany Baidul to his elder brother Baba. Instead, he got into a railway engine and, like a locomotive inspector, watched the clocks and keys, expressed his satisfaction, and got down. This was the right moment for Baidul to lead him to the waiting room where Baba was waiting for the must. Another God intoxicated one passed most of his time in the compound of the magistrate's court. On the day of contact, Baba and Baidul saw him coming out of one of the courtrooms. He asked Baba for a dhoti. Baba had it purchased immediately, offered it to him, and in addition gave him some sweets. Through this physical exchange, Baba seemed to have established the required contact. Perhaps it should be mentioned that, incredible as it seems, during those days in India, it was often impossible to find the holy mats, even living in railway yards and courts. The next contact was with the Mazub-like soul. In his state of Mazubiyat, he did not partake of the prasad given by Baba. To refuse the gift of the God man is to deny the operation of universal compassion. Such refusal by divine law adversely affects the spiritual progress of the person concerned. So Baba felt rather sad at this. He sent his men one by one to see whether they must eat the prasad or not. Only after getting the news that they must swallowed or nibbled all the eatables did Baba feel relieved and happy too. Baba worried not for himself but for the good of the mother. This reminds
If
me
I
of
can,
an
if I can pause you for a minute, I just wanted to find out what is the name of the must that is the one that uses iron. So if you see the first column, second one, Itefaki, he wears iron rings and other pieces of iron. And the other attributes are he loves cigarettes, pan, and chai. And this is a moderately rare must, right? But ittifaki also means accidentally, ittifaq, right? So these kind of musts generally become musts by a sudden event in their life, either with contact with a master or with an accident or something that opens up their musthood suddenly. That's just
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you.
yeah.
You want to rotate now or
Yeah, we can do that if Mahu is okay.
Yeah, I can read if you want.
Okay. Please, thank you, Ashokji, and we can start from this reminds me.
Sure.
Mahu.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba,
This
Jai Baba.
yeah, Jai Baba. This reminds me of an incident in the later period known as the fiery free life. It was in this phase that Baba visited many places in the north and south of India to give darshan to the public. At a place in the district of Hamirpur, UP, Uttar Pradesh, a person running an orphanage asked Baba for some financial help. Baba assured him of a large sum but expressed a wish to wash the feet of the orphans. The person agreed to this willingly. Accordingly, Baba commenced pouring water on the feet of the first boy. He was just about to place his forehead on them when the teenager, though unintentionally, withdrew his feet. This made Baba extremely displeased and he became very serious. He left the place and conveyed to his people that he wished to cancel all the succeeding programs and return to Merazad. At the request of his lovers in Hamirpur, he, however, suggested an alternative to counteract the adverse effect created by the boy's withdrawing his feet. He asked them to bring 14 boys, all 14 years old, together next morning before sunrise for his contact. He wished to wash their feet and bow down to them. The frantic search in that illiterate area where the parents did not know the years in which their children were born was a story in itself. Suffice it to say that by dawn the Baba lovers had succeeded in this strange task entrusted to them. A strange task entrusted to them. Baba felt happy and the programs were carried out as scheduled. Okay, so the title is Permitted and Allowed. From, from Bahrain on April 24, 1929, Baba reached Benares. During his short stay, the meeting with Batwa Shah, who was a renowned personality in Benares, is worth recording. Born in a wealthy family, he could have easily continued to live the so-called good life. But his wallowing in luxurious came to a sudden end. Batwa Shah was blessed with God's gift of love. Divine love has a strange quality of reversing one's values completely. In his deep devotion and intoxication, he would at times be in a majzub-like state, and then sometimes numberless flies would swarm around his body, but he would remain unconcerned. On, on some occasions, yeah, on some occasions when in a Salek-like state, he seemed very affectionate and children looked upon him as their chacha or uncle. He was fond of carrying a few sheets of paper and a very long pencil. Sometimes he was engrossed in writing, which was illegible. Baba has stated that this trait of scribbling, whether on paper or on roads, belongs to Jamali type of masks. When the Baba party approached this glorious personality, next page, glorious personality, Baidul asked him to go into a nearby mosque where it would be convenient for Baba to meet him all alone. But Batwa Shah refused and replied, I have left visiting any mosque. He was then asked to go with them to some other scheduled place. To some other
Secluded,
secluded
yeah.
place, secluded place, but he was unwilling to leave his seat. Therefore, Baba left him and continued his work with the other mosques in Benares. In the evening, the party returned once again to this majestic mosque. Baba instructed Eraj to plead with consummate skill and win him over. With Baba's help, Eraj succeeded and Batwa Shah agreed to keep an appointment at 9 o'clock the same night. When Baba arrived, there were no people around Batwa Shah, and he was lying on a charpay, Indian bed made by interweaving crisscross ropes of cord. Baba sat by his side, and his loving touch evoked the necessary response. The mosque exchanged looks with Baba. and commenced eating from a plate lying on his bed. Soon he pushed it towards Baba, gesturing that he should partake of the rest of the food. To please the master, Baba gradually finished the leftovers. Just then another of Batwar Shah's devotees brought some food. He ate a few morsels, and fortunately the rest of it was not offered to Baba, but to the one who had handed it over to him. After supper, this must partly Salek, partly Majzub, had a peculiar whim. He asked Baba to scratch his back. Baba was well conversant in this art, as his first master, Hazrat Babajan, had often asked him to scratch her back. Baba lovingly commenced this service. The master did not feel satisfied till Baba had done it diligently for about an hour. Was not Baba's love and service for the master was not Baba's love and service for the master matchless? At the close of this contact, the master most unexpectedly said in English, permitted and allowed. No one from the Mandali expected Batwa Shah to speak in English, much less so correctly. A few years earlier, the Mandali had a similar surprise when a mosque in Mathura presented Baba with a new copy of The Perfect Master by Purdom, published in England, which he fished out of a heap of dirty rags. Dirty rags, next page. Dirty rags, dirty rags over which he was sitting. The masks are not what they appear outwardly, and Batwa Shah's words indicated Baba's specific working on the inner plane of consciousness. With reference to this, William Duncan wrote, take the whole thing is a mystery. The whole thing is a mystery as deep and insoluble as life itself. However, those who accompanied Baba on his master tours, including William Duncan, intuitively believed and genuinely sensed that Baba was accomplishing great spiritual work by contacting the mosques at different places. From Benares, the Baba party journeyed on to Gaya, which is regarded as one of the holy places in Bihar. A few mosques and an initiate pilgrim had the good fortune to have Baba's spiritual touch. By the end of April, Baba returned to his headquarters at Mount Abu. Next title is
Now we'll just see the 11,
sure.
which is the initiate pilgrim is a spiritual wayfarer on the first or second plane of consciousness. So that's 11
11 and
for you.
12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12 will
Which
come
one
up
is
later.
12? Yeah.
12, I think, is advanced pilgrim here.
Oh,
And then
12 the
advanced
advanced
pilgrim
pilgrim.
is third or fourth.
Third or fourth. Interesting. Okay. A strange way of maintaining contact. In the first week of May, after a little rest, Baba assured his work with the advanced souls on the path who were residing near Mount Abu. Bengali Baba, Haridas Nirvan, and Matar,
Mattargiri Maharaj.
Matragiri Maharaj had been contacted a month ago. Baba revisited them. A few sadhus living in caves were also contacted. During this stay, Baba adopted a new method for maintaining contact with a certain must. In Benares, Baba had met a person named Lakaria Baba. He was a middle-aged fat person. He used to give talismans to people to relieve them of their anxieties. Outwardly, he looked like a well-fed, happy-go-lucky person. Baba nevertheless told the Mandiri that he was an advanced pilgrim, which we read that it was in Wayfarer third or fourth
Third and
play.
fourth. Third and
Yeah,
fourth,
third and
yes.
fourth. Oh, Baba says to the third and fourth an advanced pilgrim, huh? Okay. And Baba asked Erich to get his name and address. He also instructed Erich to give it to him after their return to the headquarters. At Mount Abu, Erich gave that slip to Baba. He kept that piece of paper on a table by his bed for, next page, for a few days. On May 4, he crumbled it into a small ball and asked Erich to drop it into a certain well near Bahisti Nula, where the men Mandali resided. The meaning behind this peculiar procedure, Baba alone knew, for he sometimes gestured that his work with the God intoxicated souls was a personal spiritual affair, and none need expect to know the why and wherefore for it. On May 12, the Baba party left for a long tour in the south. The first mosque contacted during this tour was a Majzub-like person at Palanpur. It was a small state. The uncle of the Nawab had great regard for this mosque, named Amir Shah. He had built a special room for him. The Majzub dwelt there, absorbed in and overpowered with the love of God. He was devoid of any artifice and never courted any reverence. People, however, brought food and placed it before him. But Amir Shah would often be so preoccupied with his esoteric ecstasies that goats and dogs would enter his room and leisurely munch the fruit or whatever was there. With a smile that was genuinely compassionate, Baba visited the Majzub. He was very pleased with this contact. The reason may be that through such Majzubs, life flows in its most pure and sublime expression, unhampered by self-conscious thoughts. Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So I
you
think
want to read
let's.
them still?
I think we'll stop at this point and continue from here on. Uh, don't forget, tomorrow we do God Speaks and Beams together. I mean, one after another. But we embark on God Speaks after a long time, and I can't wait. So all of you are invited and welcome to join as we start that journey. Any other thoughts on
Uh,
today's reading before we end? Yeah, Mahu.
yeah, I wanted to ask, actually, what is this book that we're reading? You know, I go to other ones too. I just sometimes forget. What is this book we're reading?
This
Karthik?
is God, the glimpses of the God man, Bal Natu.
Uh, the glimpses of the God Man, isn't it by volume one, two, three? Oh, have you
Correct. This
combined
is,
them?
yes, I've combined them into one large ebook, and we are right now in volume 2.
Oh, yeah, I know. I have them separately. I have the books. Okay, good, good.
Okay.
And Kartik, one more question I have. Actually, two questions.
Mhm.
So, what is the method for reading God Speaks? I mean, is it going? Are you going to be read it just like this one, continued, or you, or you're going to read it, about a smaller portion and then see if there is discussion there? Because, like, for example, the first 6 page, there is so much material there that perhaps we can't read it like a story. I mean, so what would the suggested method to read the God Speaks? I was wondering.
Good question. So it is more on the lines of how we read discourses. So interspersed with lot of discussion, with an openness to accept any kind of questions, comments, and also practical applications that we can think of. We are not in a hurry to read through the book, and
Yeah,
we obviously also go through the supplements as we encounter them, and any other cross references from any other Baba literature that we know.
yeah,
So it's a slow journey. I would expect it to take us
yeah.
4 to 5 months to finish.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because time
Yeah,
doesn't matter. I mean,
exactly.
understanding is much better. Okay, good. So I
Yes.
was
Mahu,
just wondering. And Kartik, the next question is, didn't we agree? And of course, due to, I guess, mm, Thanksgiving and then later on Christmas and all that stuff, I was not a regular attendant. But didn't we agree that at the end of the meeting, at least we finish with a moment of silence and gazing at Baba's image? We
Thank you
agreed to
so
that.
much. Thank you. We did agree, but we did not follow it strictly. So let's start that back. Thank you so much for reminding. Ashok, you were saying something as I go and grab a picture
yeah,
of
yeah.
Baba.
I want
Yeah, that would be lovely. Thank you.
I,
Yeah,
I just place it on record that this is the third time we are doing God Speaks. And Mahu, there are recordings of the earlier, earlier discussions which you can go through and which might highlight what we had done earlier.
in fact,
You
talking
mean
of
on God
which,
Speaks? You mean on God Speaks?
yes,
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's okay. I mean, I have probably read it with the group 3 times since COVID or on my own or whatnot. But as you know, these books, Baba's books, depends on where your consciousness is, right? I mean, our consciousness is not the same of last year or the day. Every time you read it, you get something different, or Baba reveals
perfect.
something differently. So it doesn't matter how many times we read or whatnot. What matters is we reside in now and with Baba while we're reading that book. That's my aim, at least. Yeah, J Baba.
And you always learn something, and so that's so true. I was going
Yeah.
to say that I'm currently listening to the Mehrabad readings of God Speaks, led by Cyrus and Soumya, and
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
so
Cyrus
much to
Tamba.
learn. There's so much to learn. I
Yeah.
just have been I'm through with 6 sessions now, And
Wow.
yeah, I just loved it, and I'm doing it daily, maybe one or two sessions, but it's been very lovely listening to that. I mean, as you rightly said, there's so much to take away and learn every time you go back to Baba's books. But Baba has very clearly said the best. I mean, the most important book that we all should read at least once is God Speaks, and I'm glad at least the serious people on our group and you yourself have read this multiple times. But there's so much to learn and so much to
Yeah,
imbibe even in future readings. So this is not by
sure.
no means the last one as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
Wow.
So thank you so much
Yes,
for reminding me of the a moment of silence. I remembered in the week and I forgot again during the call. Thank you so much. Yeah, Ashok, you were saying something.
I'm saying that God speaks is the ocean.
Yes, absolutely. It is. So
So
with that,
Ashok, you have to drown yourself in that ocean.
in the ocean, yes. Without a care about breathing, without a care about everybody around you, just dive and drown.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody can uh, offer a moment of silence, either with your eyes open and looking at Baba, or with your eyes closed with Baba's picture in your mind, and offer all that we heard and all that we learned and all that we enjoyed to Baba, and bring him as part of this experience today. Tar Meher Baba ki jai.
God, man.
Jai Baba. Thank you so much.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Baba, and thanks everybody.
Yeah.
And
Baba told me, Baba Kyuje.
Sanjay ji, if you're still near the Samadhi, we get a quick view if you can, or if you're back home, it's okay. He's in Mehrabad. I will stop recording at this time. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Atta Meher Baba ki jai.
Okay, I think Sanjay ji is busy. So on that